thank you to both of you for this very special evening.
Thank you for having us.
I just wanted to remind people that Emma is of course a member of SAG, which is still on strike. We have, as I mentioned in the introduction, an interim agreement which covers this film, so we're going to restrict our conversation to Bleat today.
Thank you. Go SAG.
Yorgos, let's just start by telling people how this came about. There's a project called the Artists on the Composer, which is these organizations that I mentioned in the introduction, the Greek National Opera and the Neon organization in Athens, putting together a contemporary artist with music, with classical music. So if you can tell us what the assignment was here for you.
You always say everything. I can't, there's nothing left for me to say. So it was Neon and the Greek National Opera that came up with the idea, and it was just very exciting and challenging for me to think, about making something that it would involve a film, but in its most primitive kind of form, like just a silent film, a narrative, or I don't know, maybe it's not a narrative, but just to start from scratch and make something like really simple and elemental, and of course to have the opportunity to research music and listen to it, and on that we worked with Giorgos Koumendakis, who's the director of the Greek National Opera. He would send me stuff, I would listen and I'd react, and then more stuff. And I think we decided on the music kind of in parallel with me coming up with the idea for what the film element might be, and it was only finalized, I think, in the edit. I think I requested another piece of music because it just turned out a little longer than I expected. So yeah.
So you were working in parallel, like thinking about the narrative and also pieces of music that would go with it. Can you tell us about some of the pieces that made it in?
So it's two pieces by Toshio Hosokawa, who's a Japanese contemporary composer, and there's like a interpretation of a Bach piece by Knut Nystedt, the choir that was in the last part of the film. Well, I guess maybe Yorgos should be here to speak more about the music. That's all I can say about it.
But I want to hear from both of you about what it was like to make a silent film in the 2020s.
It was like a dream come true. If I never had to talk again, I'd be thrilled. And so would a lot of other people. No, it was amazing. It was so beautiful. This is also my first, I've now been to Greece many times, but this was my first time in Greece. We shot this in February of 2020, right before the pandemic, on Tinos. And it was so beautiful, and knowing that there wasn't any dialogue and you just got to sort of, live in the landscape of this incredible place, it was magical. I would like to make more short films that are silent, please. Thank you. I have to ask him.
Well, it's on the record now, so.
Thank you.
You can make features that are silent.
Okay. Right?
Even better.
Clap if you like that idea. Okay. We'll do it once the strike is over. Thank you.
And Yorgos, for you, working with, I guess, the vocabulary of silence, did it feel like a different language?
Yes, somewhat. Yeah, you had to think in a very different way, and that's what was the exciting part of it. That you would think about time in a different way, and even coming up with one image after the other, It felt more free, and how you go about telling a story this way, it was just very freeing and refreshing to be able to think that way.
I know you, for all your films, you typically show your collaborators other films, not necessarily as direct reference points, but just for inspiration. And I'm wondering if there were silent films specifically that you were thinking about for Bleat.
I guess I had
The General.
The General, yes, that was one.
Because of all my big stunts.
Yeah. And we threw in a little bit of Dreyer in there, and something that was quite an inspiration for me was like a documentary by Takis Kanellopoulos, a Greek filmmaker, who made this documentary about, it's called Makedonikos Gamos, Macedonian Wedding. And it was shot in the 50s, I think, or 60s. And it is a black and white, really beautiful film. And he filmed the traditional process of, marriage in the north of Greece. And there's, imagery that is basically taken from that. There's a scene, with a knife and a man dancing, the hand kissing. But, of course, we're doing it for a funeral here instead of a wedding. But it is somehow a wedding as well. So there's that film was very inspiring to me, and visually and just as an atmosphere, and then we worked also. We looked at also traditional, costumes and clothing, and we try to do something contemporary with that, so that the film would have a kind of a no time, no place kind of feel.
Did you think of this as having a particular period, or it was deliberately not situated?
I would try to keep it open. I mean, there's like a contemporary car that you see, and certain objects in the house and all that tells you it's a contemporary film. There's electricity. There's there's all that. Your haircut, yeah, it's quite contemporary. So it just lived in that space of some kind of traditional, process and contemporary.
And
yeah.
Hell yeah!
Traditional.
And contemporary.
Emma, in terms of, to come back to silent cinema, I'm wondering if that was kind of a reference point for you, just thinking about how you perform without spoken language. Like, were you thinking about certain silent screen actors or performances, or not so much?
Buster Keaton.
Because of the General reference. So I was like, Buster. No, I think, I'm being serious. I really do think it's my favorite thing to do, to not have to speak. I wish often that we could cut many lines of dialogue, because I think people can say a lot more without speaking. Sometimes they can say it with words, like I like language or whatever, but I also like not using language. So no, I don't know if there was any reference in particular. It's mostly just following along with the story, and then it's just kind of wonderful and, like he said, freeing to not be tied to any dialogue or trying to get to any particular place with words. That's all. I haven't done this in a long time. I'm sorry. Pretty nervous.
Can we talk about your co-star, the other actor in the film? Yorgos, you want to talk about casting Damien Bonnard?
Yeah, Damian is just someone I always wanted to work with, and I think he's an incredible actor. And now we also worked with him in Poor Things. He has a small part there, and he's in Tino's right now, I think, and he's having a good time.
Well, he keeps going
Yeah,
to Tino's.
he just keeps going back to Tino's.
Oh, yeah.
He learned how to do pottery as well. It's incredible, yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. He's not very good, but, you know.
Oh, my God. Don't say that on a stage. Say that backstage.
Okay, sorry.
He's great.
It was a joke.
And it's for sale on Etsy. And you all get a 10% discount for being here tonight. We'll give you the code at the end of this. Anyway, he's great.
Not very good at pottery, not an actor.
No, take it back. They all get a discount.
What kind
Sorry.
I mean, you did good. What kind of piece?
He's also bad at playing cards,
Okay,
and that's it.
you know what? That actually is a fact. We did play poker while we were in Tino's, and he's not great at cards. But he is great at pottery and acting.
You mentioned the documentary, this Macedonian wedding documentary, as kind of an inspiration. Were there others? Like, I'm just curious how this particular narrative kind of took shape for you, Yorgos.
No, it was. It was quite different, like we mentioned before, because I started having music in my mind. I spent some time on Tino's. I would just be inspired by the place itself, the music, and it was a much more free association kind of process for me than coming up with a very specific concept and then building on that. And so in that regard, like, I didn't think of many other things. I rather try to just allow myself to be free in how I associate things and come up with the story of this.
Did the music inspire specific themes? I'm wondering, because I mean, just looking at this piece thematically, it seems like. And other work, it seems like sex and death and reanimation might have been on your mind.
On my mind. Goats.
It's like nonstop every day.
Goat.
Hey, what's up? It calls me. Goats. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, still, this was 3 years ago.
Death.
Death. Uh-huh.
Let's go.
Okay.
No, not an answer.
We're vamping. We gotta fill up the 20 minutes somehow.
It's a 30-minute film. How can we speak about it for?
It's a 30-minute film with an equal length Q&A.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis.
I have more questions.
Did you have some notes there?
Can we talk about shooting on film? Because
That we can talk about.
because
yeah,
we
what
haven't,
you like.
we haven't had.
Nobody cares, but
No, they do. They
I can talk about it.
We haven't had the opportunity to show a 35mm print in this hall in a while, so it's the first time in the festival this year. So, thank you for that.
Yes. Keep it clean, the projector.
Yeah. But the conception always to shoot. You shot on Super 16.
We shot on Super 16, yeah.
You have to talk about it.
Oh, we shot on Super 16, black and white. It looks great. We blew it up on 35, and that's how we have the print to show you. Yeah, I mean, I always shoot on film. I've only shot 2 films digitally in my life, which I regret.
That's not always, is it?
Yeah, no.
No.
Which I regret.
Okay.
And I'll hopefully never have to do it again. And the fact that we're saying like this is a work that is meant to be showed only with an orchestra, live music, and I thought it was very important also the film element to be alive somehow, so like projecting it and having this physical material that goes through the projector, and I think it's important and very much part of what this is. So that's why apart from the fact that we love shooting on film, the fact that we're also projecting it on film is quite important for the experience, I think. And in Athens, it was also kind of even more immersive because we screened it at the Greek National Opera, so we put a wooden box between the audience and we put the projector in. In the beginning, I was like, well, let's just leave the projector between people, and it will be nice. They'll hear the sound of the print.
So loud.
And then the first rehearsal, you couldn't hear the music. It was like the whole time. And then we went like, well, maybe we should build a box and cut some of the sound back, and so we're able to hear the music. So that's what we did. But anyway, I think it's an important part of the experience.
You both talked about how working with this sort of silent film language was liberating. I'm wondering if that was also the case working with the short form, because Pedro Almodovar was here with a short film also in the festival. He talked about how freeing it was to think about this as not something that needs to follow the rules of a feature film, and even a film that's bold and radical, even your films have to follow certain conventions of their features, and they circulate a certain way.
Well, this was incredible because the crew was so small. It was like a very, very intimate experience. So it felt like I wish all films could feel. I mean, I'm not going to talk about anything we do outside of that.
Film, no.
But we on this it was there were so few people participating in each moment. Just the very, very integral people, and it was incredible because. And I don't know if that has to do with the short film format or, the way that we shot it, but that was like, I would love to do that forever. Silent forever, small crew forever, on Tino's. I'll do it with you if you want. And I'd like a Red Bull. But we've got to fly it in.
There's one in the fridge.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to just do one last question,
which we're not going to answer.
I'm so sorry.
No. We are actually out of time.
We need media training when paired.
This was actually great because I do want to ask you to speak about your, without necessarily referring to specific films and roles, to your.
That's going to be very tricky.
Dennis.
To your dynamic and your collaboration, which I think is very
what? We've never worked before together. What do you mean?
Who is that? Scorsese?
Yeah.
No. Yorgos.
I think that does sum it up.
That is Martin Scorsese, right?
No, we are actually out of time because we do have to turn this hall back into a cinema for the next show. But Emma and Yorgos, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you.